The program that I've done is called WISER Lawns and Landscapes for New Residents. And so I've done this for several years. And so I've collected data since 2019 on this program. Jim Davis did the program before this, and I named it my own program name, but he did Florida Friendly Landscaping for new residents. And so this is a program that we actually do for new residents. So I'm going to go into what we do. So first of all, I'm from Sumter County. And so I've been an extension agent since 2007, but I started in Sumter County in 2017, at the very end of the year on my daughter's birthday, actually. So the thing is that the picture on the left, the one here, it does not look at all. And if you look at this, you see Sumterville, but there's no villages in here at all. Nothing is there that represents the villages. So the villages has become the largest retirement community in the country. And so you can see where we are right here too. But when you look at the villages, this is a small slice of the villages, little teeny itty piece of the villages. Most of the people who come here have come from other states with their practices, other countries with their practices. And so I am actually from Virginia, so things are done very differently in other states. They come to Florida and they don't understand anything. And so when you look at all the number of houses, so all these represent just a section of the villages, which has actually doubled in size since I have moved there. They may have about 165 people now, 165,000 people now, including those people who are snowbirds. That go up north because they can't handle the summers here. And sometimes I think that could be me. But this is a very large community, and while it's considered the largest community in the United States, it's actually now the largest community in the world. So it is, since Mr. Morse came along, he developed from the top part of the villages down to 44. And when he got down to 44, he stopped, and that was supposed to be the end. Well, he died, and the kids took over, and they have doubled it in 8 years while I have been there. So the center of the villages moved south. So the reason that I do the program I do is because of this, is because there's so many people who do not understand Florida. They don't understand Florida water. They don't understand Florida plants. They don't know how to manage pests. They have pests they don't know. So we do a lot of programs to focus on the villages. And it's not just me, but a lot of us do this. But the WISER Lawns and Landscapes is the one that I do. Part of it that we have is the Floridan Aquifer. The Floridan Aquifer is actually something that encompasses 5 states. It is one of the most productive aquifers in the world because there's so many people served by this one aquifer. And there's other aquifers within Florida, but this is the big one. And so this actually provides a lot of the drinking water that we have. There's been a lot of pull from those aquifers also to manage some irrigation. Now, most of the irrigation in the villages south of 466 is reclaimed, which means they get it at another body of water where that has collected water, and they filter it. People can't drink it. They can't grow the plants that they eat with it, but they can irrigate their yards with it. And so that's coming out of this Floridan aquifer. Now, there's a lot of things that we teach the residents when they come, because they don't understand warm season lawns at all, and they will have a tendency to overwater. They try to treat them like they're northern lawns, and so we have to really try to work very hard to have them understand what they need to do. So I tell them to have tuna parties, and really nobody wants to have a tuna party, and I don't quite understand that. But the thing here is they need something with a straight side. So they could do tuna, and that would not be a problem. In my home, I have a cat who loves to eat that. But in the case of this, sometimes you tell them you can buy a plastic rain gauge on a spike that's about 1 inch and put it every place you see a tuna can. And so a lot of times people will do that. And I tell them to calibrate. Now, in this case, they call it a catch can. I tend to talk about irrigation calibration. So they're trying to deliver 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch. In today's world, with our less water than they're used to, they're doing it 1 day a week, but they're supposed to be eventually be able to do it 2 days a week, but I have to teach them they don't need to do that either. But this is one thing that I think is particularly important. They will adjust their irrigation up and down to make sure they're delivering enough water for their root zone, which feeds the top of the plant. And so that's something that they have to also understand. They probably don't even think about where they come from. All right, so I also do recommend, and especially now, now that we've gotten more rain, to turn the irrigation off and turn it on as needed. While they have rain sensors, which I'll show you in a second, I think that it's important that they do this, especially when we have lots of water, and put a rain gauge out in their yard so they can see how much water they've had delivered. And so I also will walk them through how to turn zones on if they don't know their zone. So give them instructions on how to do that so they can actually know which zone they're having problems with and turn just that zone on. It's really easy. And then they would make their adjustments here and change their water here if they need to. The rain sensors are a big problem for them. A lot of them want to have phones. They want to have phones control everything. And so what I have to do is I have to tell them, well, what if you're on a cruise and you're managing your irrigation while you're leaning on the cruise and all of a sudden someone knocks you and your phone goes into the ocean? There'll be no controlling your irrigation with your phone. So you need to have this, and legally they're required to have these working. So inside here are these little corks that swell and dry and swell and dry and swell and dry. They do it for like 3 years and then they give up, and then they have to go through the replaced corks. I have them also look on the rain gauge or their rain sensor or the rain controller. They have a thing that will tell them that it's off and sensor. And so like this, it'll say off and sensor. Although now I had a guy in class tell me just this week that he has an umbrella that shows up. I think that sounds like so much more fun to know that there are sensors actually working to have an umbrella. I'd rather have to go out and look at this. We do talk about irrigation leaks, and so a lot of them will make changes to their what they're doing by identifying leaks. And so you can't really see this as a leak, but there's all this stuff going on right here. And the thing that I tell them to look at is the thing you can't see in this picture is the lawn on the other side of it that's turning brown. So I also tell them that they should be inspecting their lawns, even though they'd rather be golfing or line dancing. They should be checking out the thing that costs them lots of money if they have to replace it. And that would be this thing that doesn't open up because it's got a leak. I also talk about things not related to water, but things that will protect water quality, like using good fertilizer practices. So if they spill, they should be cleaning it up. Put it back in the bag. They can use it again. If there's anything left that they can't get up, they should sweep it out into their lawn so it doesn't go down into storm drains, which are not filtered. A lot of times people will dump it at the trunk, or they'll do a band right around the outside edge, which is a no. You have to spread it equally underneath whatever canopy of the plant that you're trying to fertilize. And so that's the information we give them. Let them know that they're supposed to be fertilizing their plants in March, June, and September. And it may be different in different parts of the state, but in our part of the state, those are the dates. And for the lawns, it'd be April, June, August, and October. All right, so the thing that we do a lot too is have them manage pests. So teach them about integrated pest management and not to automatically spray pesticides. So right now they hate to have chinch bugs, and I should have put a picture of those up here. The chinch bugs are a real problem, and they try to pre-treat. And so I'm trying to convince them you don't pre-treat because you create a resistance situation. So I will ask them, well, was this a good bug or a bad bug? And we'll do the same thing down here. They're certain that this is a really bad bug, and it's actually a little larva of the ladybug or lady beetle. We talk about sooty molds and should we keep the plant, and the plants that are the insects are very controversial. Does everybody know what this is? No answers. I love Zoom because nobody responds. So this is a lubber, which doesn't have wings, and what you don't see is the females on the bottom. This is the male. And so these just eat plants, and they hop from plant to plant. And so we talk about a lot of the different things that they may see in their landscape. So I do WISER lawns and landscapes for new residents 2 times. on the third Tuesday in 2 different locations on the same day. Every month for years, I do have a couple volunteers who can fill in here and there who are very knowledgeable. And so I usually ask them first before they, if I have to be gone, which is not very often. So I do this on the third Tuesday. I've just recently moved to a new location, which is down in one of the newest areas, so I get more new residents. And so those numbers have gone up for that area because they've had problems with their lawns, and I tend to be the person that they want to talk to about lawns. So the third Tuesday, I talk about this for 2 hours. I do cover all the 9 principles of Florida-friendly landscaping, but in this one, it is attracting wildlife, using integrated pest management, which is the I, including soil testing and fertilizing appropriately. I talk about soil, well, this is soil testing, this is integrated pest management, and this is soil testing. So soil testing, mulching, and fertilizing. And then this is efficient watering, and this is right plant, right place. But I cover all of them. And so it's 2 hours long. People tend to not mind, and they will ask questions like they did to me when I was a high school horticulture teacher. And then they offer it. It's offered to just the village's residents. I've had some other people who want to attend. I tried it by Zoom, but most people did not want to attend by Zoom. It introduces them to environmentally sound practices, and it's advertised freely in lots of places. So Vicus Water, which is from the villages, has a whole flyer that they give to new residents. It's advertised in the Village's Daily Sun that I put in there. Master Gardener volunteers have flyers they put out for the speaker series and the Gardener's Journal. So it's put out a lot so that new residents will get this. Also, we have some behavior changes. And so while this is probably 1 year's worth of changes, I'd put this in here because these numbers would be a kind of a different thing. So how they manage is water quantity is how they manage their water. So they adjust irrigation run times based on seasonal weather. They check for broken heads or leaks. They reduce irrigating 3 days to 2 days. And I actually like to take them from 2 days to 1 day for most of the year. 76% the irrigation on manual, as I told you, and irrigate is needed. So 76% of people are doing that. And even though they recommend different watering times in the villages, there's 67% that they're now watering between 2 a.m. and 7 a.m., which is the best time to water your lawn. All right, and then we also did water quality because there are things that affect those, which include things like fertilizing and not doing that in the winter months, using slow release fertilizer on landscape plants. So you're not using something that's a quick release fertilizer. They read and follow pesticide application, pesticide labels, including the books in the back before they apply the product. And they use the least toxic method of controls like soaps and BT. And they'll identify a pest before applying that pesticide. And the reason this is important is if they just put something down, they end up creating situations where insects don't die when they use it again. So it's always good to change your mode of action so that they will learn this. And there's lots of great publications that University of Florida has that I share with them when they need to have that information again. I do use the UF Urban Water Conservation Impact Calculator. So the only year I didn't use this was 2018. I did a survey, but I didn't do this. And so from 2019 forward, I do use this. And so there's a whole bunch of questions or comments and values as you move down through the calculator. And when you move down through that calculator, you put the number of people that have changed their behaviors. And then that relates to a certain amount of change. And there's a lot of it that comes with it. And so this to me, I do it every year. My data, and this is why I'm a little bit concerned about payers, as probably some of you may be. The way that I get the data is through a Qualtrics survey, and then I plug those numbers in based on that current year. And so this is the summary of 2019 to 2024. So when I got all the data together, it was 65,450,343 million gallons of water that were saved by people, and because they changed things, they did. And if you were to take that amount of money, you could supply 744 homes based on 88,000 a gallon a year, which is valued at $225,803.68 in water bill savings for selected households or participating households based on $3.45 per 1,000 gallons, which is what my area of Southwest Florida Water Management District is. And then also there's delivery costs. We all pay delivery costs. And so the delivery costs are 170,000, which is kind of weird, 89 in water delivery costs. And so this to me just saves, it's showing that WISER and Florida Friendly Landscaping before that were saving lots of money. So this is something that's just spectacular. And then if you, because I don't know if I have time for questions yet, I think I probably talked too long. But this is where you can get a hold of me if you decide you have any questions that you want to ask.